Talk Radio / 2RAW4TV, man. Yeah. I'm too raw for TV. I'm too raw for TV. I'm too raw for TV. I'm the truth, so you gotta believe me. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. Gangsta, but I'm still revolutionary. I think it's time for revolution. No prepping my neck for nuisance, cause I'm a beat product of the street. They view me as a nuisance, but I'm the smartest and coolest to hood. Young Isaac Newton, war trouble, war and pollution, hate crimes, robbing and boosting, man. Life is crazy for police, pull up and start shooting. Who the fuck is gonna stop it then? What the fuck is solution? Shit is real as 3D. Out here, you gotta believe it. Man, we just say the shit that the couch can't say on TV. I'm too raw for TV. I'm too raw for TV. I'm too raw for TV. I'm the truth, so you gotta believe me. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw. I'm gangsta all of the way. I address all the real issues. My metal straw hit me up, say we gon' need a lot of tissue, cause this show is the shit. We can real talk and drop and hit. Get too raw for TV. Better pray your computer don't glitch, cause it's on 3, 2, 1. Live in your home. At your biz, what it is. Call those sequence on your phone. I know everybody gon' feel it. Too raw to see the realest. But Bradley Monster's taking it. Palmetto gonna kill it. I'm too raw for TV. I'm too raw for TV. I'm too raw for TV. I'm the truth, so you gotta believe me. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. Gangsta, but I'm still revolutionary. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. I'm too raw for the TV. Gotta believe me.
If you hear my voice, then you're part of the revolution. Welcome to 2RAW4TV, exclusively on blogtalkradio.com /2RAW4TV. I'm your host, Palmetto Star. Today we're going to have a great show. We have Charlamagne Tha God in the house. He's going to be talking about the future of radio, what he's doing now. If you don't know what Charlamagne Tha God is, where you been at? You know, basically he's superstar on the radio. He's a radio legend. So, you know, especially out there in South Carolina. Shout out to South Carolina. That's my home state. You know, doing it big, and everybody out there, you know, listening and calling in. I want to shout out to all my listeners right now. You know, especially all the people that have been calling up and in the chat rooms and everything. We've been having people from Nigeria, you know, Indonesia, all over the world hit up the chat lines, calling up. So definitely shout out to all y'all. If you heard that theme song, the theme song contest is still full in effect. $500 is still up for grabs. What you do is actually go to soundcloud.com /2RAW4TV. Download the theme song, you know, put your verse, put, you know, musical accompaniment, poetry, singing, and mail it to P.O. Box 775, Stone Mountain, Georgia, 30086. And you could definitely be a part of the thing, or be in the running for that $500. What we're talking about now is, would you sell your soul for a record deal? Now, that's been going on a lot. People have been talking about, you know, different artists as far as Eminem, Dr. Dre, Lil Wayne, and have they sold out or sold their soul, quote unquote, to have to be able to have a record deal, or to be able to you know, do what they do and make as much money as they have. And a lot of times their lyrics and things of that nature reflect that they have done something. If you guys remember Crossroads by Bone Thugs and Harmony, now a lot of people don't know Crossroads is a reference to a deity called Legba, and that is a voodoo deity, and he's been known to give people powers. And actually, Robert Johnson, the person who started the blues, is infamous for going down to these crossroads and offering Legba, this voodoo deity, his soul in return for his skills to play the guitar. Now, he did that, went to the crossroads, and came back and was able to play phenomenally in the studio. And he's the one that's been accredited for starting the blues. So, this is just something that we've been asking. Now, call 323-410-0036 and tell us what your opinion is. Is your favorite artist selling out, or have they sold their soul to be able to get a record deal or to get further into the music industry? Call up. But we got Charlamagne in the house, definitely, and he's going to be answering questions, and we're going to talk to him about what he's doing and what he's been doing since the Wendy Williams show. So this is another artist named Jesse Scott. He has a song called Hands Up, and it's making its way across the internet. It's getting a lot of plays, a lot of requests. So this is him. And call up 323-410-0036. We got radio legend Charlamagne Tha God in the house. So call up. Tell us what your opinion is about your favorite artist. Did they sell their soul to the devil?
Brooklyn, baby, you make me bounce. LA lady, take me out. Hotlanta, make me wanna dance. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. Shot-town girl, look so fly. H-town mama gonna make me cry. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. And if you love me, just throw your hands up.
Hey, you, baby dog, wait, hold up, Swayze's calling, yo. What up, man? This is crazy, dog. They keep running up to me, these some crazy bras, but I ain't really stressing or nothing, cause every time they see me, they scream, Jesse is coming. They all act like I'm better or something, but I ain't changed. I look a lot better in the summer. Chick in the valley, her nickname Sally, they call her Let's Get It, cause that ain't fitted. Chick in the city, she likes to get busy, got a smart brain and some big my chick in Dubai, always getting high. Girl in Amarillo, all she do is stay fly. When I leave, all she do is say why, and I gotta lie, cause I can't tell her my
Brooklyn, baby, you make me bounce. LA lady, take me out. Hotlanta, make me wanna dance. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. Shot-town girl, look so fly. H-town mama gonna make me cry. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. If you love me, baby, throw your hands up. If you love me, baby, throw your hands up. And if you love me, baby, throw your hands up.
I know you love me, baby. So I can see where you are. We gotta get in tonight, I won't be here tomorrow. I know you're saying I'm weighing down on your heart, but I gotta leave, I gotta meet Shanice at the bar, so we can toast to the fact that I made it. And I'm really kinda faded, so pardon me if I call Tracy from Vegas, and maybe she can play with Stacy from Pennsylvania. I think I got girls everywhere, even in Delaware, and I ain't never there. Got a chick named Tiff who jump off of cliffs and lands right on my she ain't never scared. Got the maddest lady in Amsterdam, call me all the time, ask me to come back again, but I don't really like to answer, cause I'm probably with the baddest Kardashian in Calabasas. Go.
Brooklyn, baby, you make me bounce. LA lady, take me out. Hotlanta, make me wanna dance. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. Shot-town girl, look so fly. H-town mama gonna make me cry. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. If you love me, baby, throw your hands up. If you love me, baby, throw your hands up. And if you love me, baby, throw your hands up.
I know you love me, baby. You know I'd give you all my love if I had. If I had. But my LA girl got my heart and a vibe. And a vibe. But you know my
Brooklyn, baby, you make me bounce. LA lady, take me out. Hotlanta, make me wanna dance. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. Shot-town girl, look so fly. H-town mama gonna make me cry. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. And if you love me, just throw your hands up. Throw your hands up. Throw your hands up. And if you love me, just throw your hands up.
Miss Teflon, the original female gangstress born and bred in Seattle, 206, in a motherfucking building, rocking with Palmetto Star on 2RAW4TV, exclusive shit on Blog Talk Radio / 2RAW4TV. Show my niggas some love every Thursday night at 11 and turn off your TV. Yeah. Special shout out to my nigga Bachi serving 50 years and my big bro F. Lee in the Fed. Free my niggas, down with the crew. I'm gone.
Listen to blogtalkradio.com / 2RAW4TV. We got radio legend Charlamagne Tha God in the house. Charlamagne, you on the line?
Peace. What's going on, my brother?
Peace. What's good with you? Now, if you're not familiar with...
You don't got to say radio legend, man. I don't think I've reached legendary status yet. Like, you know, I'm still growing. Like, you know, I got a long way to go before I'm considered a radio legend.
I definitely feel that. Well, I mean, you're well known out there, especially in my state. And really, you're an inspiration, man. You inspire me to do what I'm doing right now. You know, I'm doing the hip hop thing. You know, when I came to Atlanta, I switched over and started doing the radio thing. And you know, basically, you know, you inspired that. So you know, definitely shout out to you. What are you? I mean, people have known you from the Wendy Williams show. People have known you from radio in South Carolina. What are you doing now?
Well, you know, I'm 1/3 of the Breakfast Club on Power 105.1 in New York City. You know, that's a Clear Channel station. Clear Channel is the largest radio conglomerate in the country, and you know, it's a real big deal for them to have assembled three talents like, you know, myself, Angela Yee, and DJ Envy, and you know, let us you know, head this morning show in New York, because if you know anything about Clear Channel, you know that they have, you know, successful syndicated programs like Ryan Seacrest and successful syndicated programs like Elvis Duran. You know, Elvis Duran is syndicated on like 50 markets throughout the country, but you know, they don't have any urban or black, you know, syndicated shows. So, you know, we hopefully, I'm not gonna say hopefully, inshallah, which means God willing, will be, you know, that show for the hip hop scene, the urban scene. Syndicated, nationally syndicated. I mean, is what I'm saying.
Definitely. Now, how did you get started in radio?
I started off as an intern, you know, at Z93 Jams in Charleston, South Carolina. You know, I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, raised in a small town called Monk's Corner, South Carolina, which is like 15, 20 minutes from Charleston. But, you know, like most kids growing up, you know, I had a hard head. You know, I was running with the wrong crowd, and, you know, I got involved in, you know, the drug game, and just, you know, just being an idiot, you know, wilding out in school, getting in fights. I always was the class clown, so I stayed in the principal's office. But my mother was an English teacher, so when I used to go to Berkeley High School in Monk's Corner, they expelled me from Berkeley High School and transferred me to her school, Stratford, where she taught at, thinking that would calm me down. But I just ended up getting in more trouble, and you know, that's when I, you know, started getting into guns. That was around the time Juice came out. So I was watching Juice and, you know, listening to a lot of Mobb Deep. And, you know, smoking a lot of weed and drinking a lot of E&J and Hennessy at the time. So I used to do a lot of dumb shit. And, you know, me and one of my homeboys, we actually shot at somebody. So they came and arrested me from high school. And I ended up doing a year in jail, fresh out of high school. Like, they literally took me from the class, took me to the county jail. And my pops was tired of, you know, trying to talk me out of trouble. So he just decided to give me some tough love, and instead of bonding me up, I ended up just, sitting in jail for a year. And I mean, I went to jail a few more times after that, but, after a while, you just get that rude awakening where you say, man, in order to change my life, I got to change my lifestyle, especially when you see, older people that you grew up looking up to, and you see how them not changing their lifestyle caused them not to change their life, and they ended up just being bums, for lack of a better term. So, I always said, man, smart people learn from their own mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So, I'm just glad I had that wisdom and that foresight to see, like, I don't want to end up like that. So I just started working a lot of odd jobs, man, just trying to create that positive energy around me. So instead of selling dope and, keep constantly, I just wanted to break that cycle. So I started working at Taco Bell. I worked at a flower garden. I worked at a warehouse. I worked at a telemarketing place. And, I just always been the type to ask questions. I was reading this book called From Niggas to God by Akil. And, they said in the book, when you see somebody that's successful and somebody that's doing something that you want to do, just ask them how they got there. So I remember asking this brother named Willie Will, how'd you get in the radio? And he told me, man, I just went and filled out internship papers. And I was like, is that easy? And he was like, yeah. So I actually just went up to the radio station, told them I wanted to be an intern. They gave me the papers. I filled out the papers, and they gave me an internship. And, I mean, that internship turned into, me just busting my ass and ended up in the promotions department. They hired me to work in the promotions department. And then, I expressed interest in being on air. So they started showing me the ropes of how to run a board and, the different things of that nature to be on air. And they eventually let me start voice tracking. People don't know what voice tracking is. Voice tracking is when you actually record your show. You record your voice. And then, I did that for like a month or two before they finally let me go live. And, I guess the rest is soon to be history. From being part-time at Z93 in Charleston, I used to do my thing so well on the weekends that when the new station came in the market, Hot 98.9, they hired me to be a full-time personality on their station. So I got my full-time radio job at the age of 20. And I was 20 years old doing a night show, 7 to midnight, Monday through Friday. So, from Hot 98.9 to Charleston, I ended up in the Big DM in Columbia. Then when the Big DM switched formats, I went to Hot 103.9 in Columbia, and that's when I really started utilizing the internet a lot and, sending out my interviews and sending out different skits that I was doing. And so they used to make their rounds and end up on, like, allhiphop.com because that was, like, the big site at the time. So, Wendy Williams and her people, her production team actually used to, be surfing the internet back then and used to hear a lot of my interviews and, like with Buffy the Body, and they used to hear stories about me getting into it with Memphis Bleak and, me clowning T-Pain, just little things like that, or me interviewing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They started hearing all these things, but they just started to talk about me in the studio, and that kind of caught, the ear of Wendy Williams' husband, Kevin Hunter, and, she ended up this is crazy how God worked, but she ended up syndicated on Hot 103.9 in Columbia. So she used to do the afternoon show, and I used to come on after her doing the night show. And then they ended up moving her to 10 to 2, so she used to come on after us. But, her and Kevin used to always come to the market. And they used to come to Columbia, South Carolina, and they used to hear me. And, like a relationship formed really just on some on a friend level, like, that those were my people. But then they was also impressed with my talent. And, like, they invited me to come to New York one week. So me and DJ Frosty flew up there. They had a party, so we flew up for the party. And, we were just in the club drink or whatever. And Wendy told me to come on her show the next day. So I went on her show the next day. And I was on there for, like, 20 minutes. But, the chemistry was right. The energy was right. And I didn't even know they were going to offer me a job. But that same night, they offered me a job. They was like, yo, you want to, Wendy's looking for a co-host. She thinks that you're the one. So what I'm gonna do? Say no? I was out. I packed my shit up and I was in New York the next week. After I flew back to South Carolina the next night, like a week later, I was in New York on Wendy Williams show.
True that. That's definitely an inspiration, especially the people out there trying to make it. We start start from where you can, you know, get in where you fit in. You started as an intern, and now you're doing big things, major things. Now, one of my most memorable Charlamagne moments is that Buffy the Body interview when she stormed out the radio station. That was man, that was crazy. Now, you're known for making controversial statements. Is there anything that you would have done or said differently? If you could just rewind time, would you do it? Would you do it a little bit differently?
Absolutely not, because you know if I did something differently, then I probably wouldn't be here. Like, you know, everything happens for a reason. Like even when you, like, I feel like, you know, like God, our Creator, He keeps us on a course. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we veer off the course. He doesn't veer us off the course. We veer off the course. But He does certain things to get us back where we need to be. Like, I've been fired, man. I've been fired 3 times. I got fired, really 4. Like, when I was an intern at Z93 Jams in Charleston, I remember one of the other interns sued one of the promotions directors, so they cut the internship. So I wasn't an intern no more. But I found out that they was hired in the promotions department, so I went up there to get a job. And, you know, like the promotions guy hired you, remembered me from when I was an intern, so he hired me. So I could have easily had just quit after that internship got cut off, but I kept going. When I worked at Hot 98.9 in Charleston in 2002, you know, this is my first full-time gig. I had the #1 night show in the city. They brought in a new program director named Corey Hill. That's my man now, but, you know, back then I thought he had ruined my life, but he fired me. And, you know, the reason he fired me, I don't know. I mean, to this day, it's like, you know, we talk about it, I understand the game now. It's just like the coach that hired me got fired, so when they brought in a new coach, that coach wanted to bring in his own players. So, I mean, you know, back then I didn't understand that, but I could have quit then. But, you know, I didn't. You know, I didn't work again in radio until I got fired in February of 2002. I didn't work again in radio until November of 2002. And what I did in the meantime was I just started a whole new energy. And what I mean by that is I had a fan base from the radio in Charleston, so that's when I started a blog. And I was, you know, updating people on my blog on NeverSoDeepRecords.com. This was back in 2002. And then, you know, I put out an album, which was actually a radio show on a CD. And it was a radio show on a CD, and it had the music from the Never So Deep artists, so it was kind of like an ad check. And it ended up selling 3,000 copies in South Carolina. And one of those copies got into the hands of Mike Love, who was the program director at the Big DM. So he ended up hiring me at the Big DM based off that. And the Big DM flipped formats. So I was out of a job again, but luckily Hot 103.9 had, you know, picked me up from the work that I was putting in on the Big DM. And then another incident that happened that people don't know about, when I was on Hot 103.9, I got sued. I got sued by a club, you know, a club in Columbia, South Carolina. A club sued me because, you know, the manager of the club was putting day rape drugs in girls' drinks, and, you know, that had always been a rumor in the hood, and nobody could ever prove it. One day he got arrested for it. And when he got arrested for it, it was up on Richmond County's website. You know, Richmond County, the police people. So I took the mug shot and put it up on my MySpace page. I was smart enough not to talk about it on the radio because I knew there was an advertiser in the station. But they sued me for that. And I mean, Hot 103.9 demoted me from 6 days a week to 1 day a week. And I mean, I'm like, damn, y'all demoted me for doing the right thing, for making people aware. And I remember having a conversation with the program director, Chris Connors, and not to throw him under the bus, but this is a real conversation that happened. I was like, well, what if that was your daughter, you know, who had this happen to? What would you have done? And I remember him telling me,
exactly,
I wouldn't have done nothing. I wouldn't have did that. I probably would have kicked his ass in the street, but I wouldn't have, you know, aired him out. But, you know, I did that, and I feel like God always blesses me because I do the right things. You know what I'm saying? Even when it is going against the grain. So it's like, all I'm saying is all those little situations that I thought were losses were actually just putting me on the path that God wanted me to be on. Because, I mean, all of those instances led to something else. You know, even after that situation happened at Hot 103.9, I ended up with Wendy. I got laid off from Wendy in 2008 after being with her for 3.5 years. I mean, that was a straight economical situation, because they laid off like 20 people at WBLS at that time, and I was just one of those people. But at that time, Like my daughter was just born. My daughter was born in June of 2008. So like for 7 to 8 months, I didn't start working again until May of 2009. For 7 to 8 months, I was just at the crib, you know. Luckily I got a great severance, and I've always been good with saving money. So I was just at the crib with my daughter, watching my daughter grow. But when they called me from Philadelphia at 100.3 The Beat, and they told me that they wanted me to do the mornings. They wanted me to host the mornings on 100.3 The Beat. They wanted to give me my own morning show. I was like, wow. So I took that opportunity, went to Philly, was in Philly for 8 or 9 months, got fired from Philly. You know what I'm saying? After the Beanie Siegel situation. And, I had great ratings. I had great ratings in Philly, was bringing in great revenue in Philly. And they got rid of me after 8 or 9 months. And I wasn't upset at that either, because I knew that God had another plan for me. I didn't work for a year. I didn't work from November of 2009. I didn't work again until November of 2010. But see, what God did was God gave me a taste of morning radio, and he let me be there just long enough to let the industry know that Charlamagne makes a great morning show host. I had never did mornings ever in my life. I had no morning show experience. That was just God's way of putting me in a position to let me know, okay, this is the position I want you in. I want you to do morning radio. I don't want you to be doing it here. This is just a trial ground. So I was in Philadelphia, which is an hour and a half from New York. After leaving Wendy and being out of radio for 8, 9 months. So it's like Power 105 in New York, they had been scouting me for a minute. After hearing me on in Philly, they had been scouting me. So it's like I said before, all of those situations were meant for me to stay on the path that God wanted me to be on. Like he had a path for me, and the path I feel like has led to this point where I'm at right now.
Exactly. And that's definitely a testimony. Now, you make a lot of mentions to God. You sound very spiritual. Can you tell us, like, the meaning behind Charlamagne Tha God? What's the meaning behind that name?
Well, I'm gonna answer your first question. I mean, it wasn't really a question, but I'm gonna address it. Like, I am very spiritual because my grandmother was a Baptist. My mother was a Jehovah's Witness. I was raised, as Jehovah's Witness, and my grandmother was a Baptist. So you can imagine, going to your grandmother's house was a Southern Baptist, how strong the spiritual foundation was there. And my mom being a Jehovah's Witness, taking us out in field service all the time, going to the Kingdom Hall all the time. And, my father who ended up getting this fellowship from the Kingdom Hall, that's when they kick you out, basically. But he was a Jehovah's Witness, but then he started, getting into Islam. So he started, watching Malcolm X tapes, and he used to make me sit down and watch the Malcolm X tapes, and make me sit down and watch videos of Elijah Muhammad, and he used to make me sit down and watch the Farrakhan tapes, and I wasn't interested in none of it. But then, I remember hearing Biggie Smalls say, deep like the mind of Farrakhan, and when Biggie said that, I was like, yo, what Biggie know about Farrakhan? Why Biggie rapping about Farrakhan? Maybe I need to pay attention. So I started paying attention, and it was just like, I'm into anybody that's spewing positivity, anybody that radiates positivity, man. I don't care what the religion is. I don't care what their nationality is. I don't care what their race is. I don't care what their sex is, their sexuality is. If you're giving off some positive energy, I'm all in. So it's like, I was drawn to a lot of these things. I was drawn to the words of the Southern Baptist pastor. I was drawn to the words of the Kingdom Hall. I was drawn to the words of Islam. So it was like all of these things I used to take in, and I just knew that it was a higher power bigger than myself that was dictating my steps. I've been in so many situations, man, from, wrapping bands around trees. I remember I wrapped a van around a tree one time, man, drunk as hell, and the police officer said, the only reason I survived is because I didn't have a seatbelt on because I was drunk. I was so drunk that the impact didn't kill me, and I didn't have a seatbelt on, so I didn't get crushed because I flew out the back window. And I'm like, yo, that's only God. Only God can allow me to walk away from something like that without a scratch. I didn't have dudes pull out pistols on me when I'm sitting in the back seat of cars and cock the pistol and, just for some reason not shoot. Like, that's only God, especially when you can turn on the news every day and see, millions of brothers getting shot every day. But I know I'm here for a reason. And, the name Charlamagne Tha God You know, when I used to sell crack in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, Moncks Corner is a small town, so I used to call myself Charles or Charlie. I never would give the fiends my real name because they knew my parents, basically. So I used to, say my name was Charles or Charlie. And I remember when I started going to night school, I was reading a history book, and I read about a warrior named Charlamagne. And Charlamagne was a great warrior who went about spreading religion and education. And the name of his dynasty was the Carolinian dynasty. So it's like, okay, South Carolina, Carolinian. And Charlamagne was French for Charles the Great. So I used to call myself Charles or Charlie on the block. So I was just like, I'm going to start calling myself Charlamagne. And so I remember, going to the hood that night and telling everybody, yo, my name is Charlamagne. And his name, the Roman Emperor name was Charlamagne the Great. So, when I started, studying Islam and just really getting into the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 says God created man in his image according to his likeness. And if you know what the word God means, God is a Greek word derived from the Aramaic words Gumar Arzabar, which means wisdom, strength, and beauty. And the first letter of each word was used by Greek students in their identification as their all-wise ancient Egyptian masters. So, like our ancestors, when you study your ancestral greatness, you realize we go back to Egyptian and African lineage. We know those are our ancestors, so that's what I would call myself, Charlamagne the G-O-D. So that's where the name came from.
All right, true that. And, we all been going through these different struggles. If you could check out my youtube.com/HustleVilleENT12, you see my struggle where I'm actually in a police chase. So, I definitely become from struggle and turn the positive thing to a negative thing to a positive thing. Definitely shout out to you for doing that. Now, you interviewed a lot of celebrities. Have you been awestruck by maybe like your favorite celebrity? Have you ever encountered a feeling like that?
Nah, I've never been awestruck, man. I mean, the closest I've come to being awestruck was when I interviewed Minister Farrakhan back in 2005. And that's the closest I came to being awestruck, only because I remember my father, making me watch those Minister Farrakhan tapes all the time. So that's the closest I've came to being awestruck, because I was like, wow. And I think that was more so a moment, I was happy to meet him, happy to have a conversation with him, and it was crazy because it was like at a press conference, because this was before the Million More movement, so it was in a room full of people. But after I asked a couple heavy questions, he was like, yo, look, I'm going to talk to you. So he ended up inviting me to his hotel room, and we ended up kicking it for like 30 minutes. And that was the most, I would say I've been awestruck. I was in awe because, I feel like Minister Farrakhan is a divine brother. As I've gotten older, I have questioned, a lot of things that he says. Like, I don't like the way that he attacks Jewish people. And I'm not saying he attacks them. I think that's the wrong word, but I think he tries to, hold them accountable for a lot of things that they shouldn't be held accountable for. Because I deal with equality. I don't discriminate against anybody. I love everybody. I got Jewish friends. I have Italian friends. I have white friends. I have gay friends. Like, I deal with equality. I don't like division. I don't like anything that causes division. I don't like any words that cause division. I don't like any actions that cause division. If you're giving your honest opinion on something, that's real. But I mean, that's the only thing I disagree with him on, because I don't believe a lot of the things that he says about the Jewish community are actual and factual. I think it's a lot of just his opinion. He's been rubbed the wrong way by them, and I think that I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But
no.
Yeah, other than that, the last time I've been awestruck, other than that, I don't think I've been awestruck, but I ain't gonna front. When I met Jennifer Lopez a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, this is the most beautiful chick I've ever seen in my life. I had to tell her, like, yo, I gotta stop looking you in the eyes. Like, yo, she got up and I smelled her seat. That's how beautiful she was.
I feel that. Now, you've been dealing with a lot of hip-hop artists, and, hip-hop has been going through different changes and stuff like that, especially recently. What do you think about popular hip-hop artists today? What's your opinion on them?
I'm not mad at hip-hop right now, man. I went through my phase where I was, like, F hip hop. This ain't real. Like, this ain't real hip hop. Yada yada yada. But you know what I realized, man? I'm 30 years old. You know, the music that Soulja Boy makes, the music that, you know, Waka Flocka makes. So all they doing is telling their experience. Like art is a reflection of life. So if Soulja Boy's making records about dancing, that's his life. He's a young kid. That's how they move. If Waka Flocka's making a record called Love That Gun Sound, that's the way he lives. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? It is entertaining. And they're not the first people to make overly aggressive, hardcore music. You know, they're not the first. Soulja Boy's not the first person to make dance records. This has been going on in hip-hop forever. Soulja Boy is just an extension of Kid and Play, or even an extension of Hammer. I remember when Hammer came out, and everybody was like, oh, Hammer ain't hip-hop, Hammer's commercial, yada, yada, yada. I remember when Onyx came out with throw them guns in the air and punk like he just don't care, and everybody was like, oh, man, they so ignorant, that ain't hip-hop, they too violent, whatever. Now you got guys like Waka Flocka doing Love That Gun Sound. Like, it's just the same thing. Like, it's not any difference. It's just that we're older now. So being that we're older, we look at them like they crazy. But people looked at us like we was crazy when we was screaming Onyx. You know what I mean? When we was slamming and throwing our guns in the air, or wilding out the little scrappy head buster, knuck if you buck. When we was in the club drunk wilding out, people looked at us like we was crazy. So it's just now that we older, but you know what? I appreciate everything. Like, I like everybody from Rick Ross to Jay Electronica. My favorite MC of all time is Ghostface Killer. My favorite MCs of all time are Ghostface Killer, Nasir Jones, Rakim Allah, T.I., and Scarface. And Killer Mike. I love Killer Mike. I think
true that.
So it's just like, you know, that's what I love. That's why I like growing up in the Carolinas, man, because, you know, growing up in South Carolina, we didn't really have our own distinct form of music. Like, you know, we didn't have, you know, artists to look up to. So it was like we was listening to everything. So I was listening to everything from the West Coast, the East Coast, down south. I was listening to everything. So, you know, it gave me a real diverse taste in music. I like Katy Perry. I think Katy Perry is dope. I love Teenage Dream out. I've been liking Katy Perry since I Kissed a Girl. Like, I like everything. I listen to Kesha. Like, I like dope music. I don't even care what genre it is. I like dope music. Period. And if I feel it, if it gives me a feeling, if it evokes some emotion out of me, I'm all in.
I feel that. Now, there's something that you had mentioned that, you know, I definitely wanted to ask about. Is it true that Steve Harvey never washes his hands?
I mean, I don't want to say he never washed his hands, but I'm just saying from my experience when I worked with him at WBLS, because when I worked with him at BLS, you know, Wendy and I used to do afternoons. You know, Wendy Williams' experience came on 2 to 6, and he came on in the morning, 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. I mean, there was plenty of times I'd be in the bathroom. We'd be in the bathroom together. I mean, several times. And I never saw him wash his hands once.
Ooh.
Never. And I mean, that's not slander. I'm not hating on him. That's just an observation. And I remember thinking in my mind, like, I just thought that was disgusting. Like, I just think that's disgusting. You know, you go, you use the bathroom, and you touch the door, and you walk out and probably shake people's hand. Like, that's just gross. That's just gross to me, you know? But,
definitely.
And then when I asked his ex-wife, Mary Harvey, because we had her on the show a few weeks ago, I asked his ex-wife, and she was like, that's not the only thing he never used to wash. So, I mean, you know, I don't know what that meant, but, you know, that's what she said.
Oh, well, I think my audience could just infer, you know, the meaning of that. Now, I had actually a question from the chat line. They were talking about Wendy Williams, and they said, you know, that you come off as a positive person, and, you know, Wendy Williams is doing like sort of like the Oprah thing right now, where she's trying to be at least a little bit less controversial than she was during her radio show days. Now, I mean, what is your relationship like with her now?
We really don't have one now. I mean, it's not an issue. It's just that, I mean, a thought changes, love changes. It's just like people come into your life for reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. And I mean, that's just the nature of the business. Like, when I got laid off in 2008, and then like for the first part of 2009, I did her show. I did her television show. I used to do Man on the Street correspondence for her television show. But then, it's after a while, it's just like I don't want to just be Wendy Williams. I don't want to be known as Wendy Williams' sidekick. It's not a disrespect thing, but it's just that, I got offered the job in Philly, so I kind of just had to go and just continue to make my own lane. Because, I mean, if you know me from South Carolina, I always did my own show. So, when Wendy brought me up to be her sidekick, that was an adjustment. I mean, of course, that's Wendy Williams. Of course, I'll be Wendy Williams' co-host, no question. I'll be her sidekick all day. But, after a while, it's just like, okay, it's time for me to create my own path, my own legacy. And, I mean, she's doing her thing. Like, she got a television show. She's hosting a game show now called Love Triangle. She's about to be on Dancing with the Stars. So it's like she's doing she's creating her legacy. So, I'm over here creating mine. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's just business. Like, hey, it's nothing personal. Like, that's just the nature of the game. I wish her the best.
Definitely. And I was always wondering about that, and I also wondered why, VH1 didn't give you or didn't offer you your own show. I mean, did a reality show ever like that ever come on the table? Because you seem like the more interesting person on the radio show. I mean, that's just me personally. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what.
Well, back then, I mean, it was talk of certain things, but I mean, I wasn't gonna do no love show. You know what I mean? Like, no looking for love, but. All I can tell y'all is stay tuned, man. Like, the Breakfast Club, we popping right now. Like, I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm just, I feel like we got something that people want, and we got something that people want to hear, and the energy is very positive surrounding our show, very, very positive. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching the Webisodes that we put out. Like, we put out Webisodes all the time, like little mini TV shows, just showing what goes on. Like, we just put one out today. We put one out today because Trey Songz and Angela Yee and DJ Envy played a real disgusting prank on me. You can go to power1051fm.com and watch it. World Star, this is 50. It's on those sites right now. But, stay tuned, man. Like TV is definitely in the near future. Definitely. I can 360% tell you that TV is definitely in the near future.
I hear that. Now, what advice would you give from someone that coming from a small town like you are, or like even me coming from Columbia? What advice would you give them about how to achieve and how to aspire to, what if you were just going to sum it down, into like a couple of sentences, like what words of advice would you give them?
Well, I tell everybody, don't look at people's past. Don't look at people's lives and say, okay, he did it that way or she did it that way, so I'm gonna do it that way. Don't look at that. But do look at people's character, look at their attributes. Look at the things that they did. If you look at any successful person, they all have the same qualities. They got a work ethic. They're very passionate about one thing. Like in order to really be successful at a number of things, you have to be passionate about one thing. Like Wendy is a great example because Wendy is very passionate about radio. She's always been very passionate about radio. So she dominated radio. And by her dominating radio, that's what led to everything else. The books, the television shows, the talk shows, Dancing with the Stars, whatever, and it's the same thing with anybody. Howard Stern. People look at Howard Stern and be like, Howard Stern signed a $500 million deal. It's like because he was passionate about one thing, which is radio. Michael Jordan changed the landscape of professional sports, changed basketball forever, but that's because he was passionate about basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be passionate about one thing. It don't even have to be in the entertainment industry. It don't have to be in athletics. You just have to be passionate about one thing. I feel like God bless everybody with one thing that they're just destined to do on this planet. I was just actually reading Russell Simmons' book earlier, Super Rich, and he talks about something called Dharma. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I know it's spelled D-H-A-R.
No, that's how you pronounce it. That's how you pronounce it.
Oh, okay, Dharma. And Dharma is basically everybody has one thing that they are destined to do. Like one thing. Like they have one thing that they are just absolutely positively destined to do. You're either destined to be a warrior. So if you're destined to be a warrior, you need to be out there in the war fighting. If you're destined to be a lawyer, you need to go to law school. Destined to be a doctor, go to medical school. Like everybody's destined to do one thing. So whatever that one thing is that you're destined to do, you have to find it and you have to be extra passionate about it, and you just have to cultivate it, and you have to work, and you have to work hard, and you have to have faith, and you have to have faith in God. And I promise you, everything will happen the way if you want it to happen. I mean, you're gonna have some bumps and bruises along the way, but I promise you, if you just stay passionate about that one thing and stay working towards that, stay working at that one thing and cultivating that one thing, you will succeed and you will prosper. Like, I'm from Moncks Corner, South Carolina, raised on a dirt road in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. I knew for a long time exactly. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be behind a microphone in some way, shape, or form. I knew I wanted to communicate with people. I knew I had something that I had to get out. I mean, because I remember I've always been the one talking in class and talking on the bus, and you know, people always would just listen to me for whatever reason. I used to like to go to the Kingdom Hall and give talks. You know, I used to always be the one kind of motivational speaking. I used to always be the one telling the truth when nobody else would tell the truth, always giving my opinion when nobody else would give their opinion. So I always wanted to just express that. And I remember sitting back watching, you know, video hosts on TV or listening to radio hosts on the radio and always wondering, why don't they just ask the question that everybody's thinking? Like, why are they playing it so politically correct? But then when I started getting into the business and I had program directors tell me verbatim, and I quote, "You have too much of an opinion. You're on the radio. You shouldn't have so much opinion." I don't know, people telling me that. I used to be like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like why can't I ask, you know, this question? Why can't I ask Memphis Bleak, how is it to be in the shadow of Jay-Z's nuts? You know, how come I can't tell Buffy? How come I can't say to Buffy the body, Buffy, why you got to be the body? Why can't you use your brain? What about when you get older and your body parts start to sag? What are you going to do then? How come I can't ask these people these questions? Why I can't say this to these people? Why I can't tell T-Pain sing live right now? He sing live and he's horrible, and I tell him he's horrible. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong with that? So, you know,
exactly.
Like, that's just me. Like, you know, you just have to. When people don't let nobody get in your head and tell you that you can't do something, man. I mean, always be respectful and, you know, listen to what people are telling you, because a lot of times people are telling you things for your own good, man. But you have to believe in your dream. Do not let anybody tell you that you can't do what it is that you want to do, especially when it's your dharma. Like, I know radio is my dharma. This is what I do. I remember 10 years ago when I first got in radio, I said I want to be a super chop. I want to be on the level of the Tom Joyners and the Doug Bankses and the Wendy Williams and the Howard Stern. I want to be mentioned in those conversations, because eventually, like I always say, you know, power eventually fades and weakens, so it has to be a next generation. Like all of these people I named are getting old and they're moving on and doing other things, so it has to be another generation. And I feel like right now, you know, me and Angela Yee and DJ Envy, we're the leaders of that new school.
Exactly. Now, I know you have to go in a little bit, but what are some of the projects that you're currently working on outside of your position at Power 105?
Honestly, nothing. And the reason I honestly say nothing is because I've been working at Power 105 since November 29th. And, you know, it'll be 90 days on March 1st. And, like, this is all I've been doing. It's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about anything else right now. My focus is on Power 105. My focus is on making Power 105 that brand in New York City. You know, like I want us to be the station people think of when they come to New York. I want the Breakfast Club to be the only morning show that matters. I want to show people how, you know, radio and social media go hand in hand. How you got to look at the game as a stake. You got to look at the game of radio as a stake, and you know, when you got to look at your listening audience as a stake, and the radio is a fork, and social media is the steak knife. So in order to really cut your steak properly, you need both. So it's like that's what we're doing right now. Like, man, go look for yourself. Go look for yourself, and you ask yourself, damn, say why all these other radio shows across the country aren't as internet savvy as the Breakfast Club? Why they not all over Twitter like Angela Yee, DJ Envy, and Charlamagne? Why they not all over Facebook? How come they don't have videos all over It's the 50 and World Star and, you know, all these other sites? Like, we're just simply outworking everybody right now. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We're laying the blueprint. We're showing people how to take radio to that next level in a digital world. We're showing them how to do it right now. And it's easy for us because all of us are young. So we grew up in that era. We grew up in that digital social media era. So it's like the people coming behind us are the ones that's going to really benefit if they're paying attention. The same way I paid attention to, you know, the OGs that came before me. You know, I paid attention to them as far as radio, and they showed me how to do a great radio show, whether it was, you know, the Star and Bucks or, you know, I refer to Wendy Williams again, or people like Petey Green, who's my super idol. You know what I'm saying? Like, I observed and studied all of them, and they showed me how to put on great radio shows. So now I'm putting on a great radio show and still learning how to put on a great radio show. It's a process. I'm growing. You know, I'm constantly evolving every day. But you know, me, Angela Yee, and Envy, we constantly learning how to put on a great radio show every day, and we're using our social media, internet savvy also. So it's like, when I say we the leaders of the new school of this radio thing, like, I really, really mean that. And, you know, if people don't know which way to go, we'll make it easy. Just follow us.
Definitely. And, you know, shout out to Power 105. Shout out to everybody that's doing their thing, man. Shout out to all my listeners at 2RAW4TV. You got the phone lines going nuts. You got the chat line going nuts. I know you had to go, Charlamagne, but is there anybody
I'll take a couple calls. I mean, if there's a couple people on the line that want to ask some questions, I'll answer a couple questions.
Okay. Okay. That's what it is. Then hold on for 1 second. We got 757. They're on the line. Actually, 1924. Do you have a question for Charlamagne? 1924.
Yo,
what's good? 1924. You're on 2RAW4TV.
Oh, nah, man, I was just enjoying the show, bro. This is CB Knows, man.
Oh, what's good, CB Knows? Hey, what's good? Shaquem RC in the house.
Yeah, man.
What's good with you?
Yeah, man, I was enjoying the show, bro. I'm good, man. Just up here chilling, man. Watching CNN, man, trying to figure out what's going on in the world, man. It's chaos. And listen to my man, Charlamagne. I got to say mad respect to that brother, man. You know, with his positivity and, you know what I'm saying, just peace, man. I mean, I feel inspired, you know. And I'm like, you know, I don't feel inspired by too many people, you know. But right now,
I'm glad you watching CNN too, man. You said something just now. You said that you watching what's going on in the world. Like, I put on Twitter a couple weeks ago. I was like, man, I don't really know what's going on in the world, but I know it's something that God wants us to see, and we're not paying attention. It's right there. Man. It's right there in front of us, but we really not paying attention. So we really just need to. Everybody just need to be still for a second. Just sit down, meditate a little bit, and really, really see what the universe is trying to tell us. Because with birds falling off the sky and fish dying, and I'm watching what's going on in Egypt. I feel like we're going to have to do that in a minute. I feel like we need to be watching Egypt and learning from them, because I feel like that's going to happen in America in 2 seconds.
I'm gonna tell you, B.
It's
going down right now. Like in Wisconsin,
it's going down.
The teachers are protesting. I mean, it's only a matter of time before that's gonna break loose in New York or PA, VA, Atlanta. We don't know, but it's something. Things is going on, man, and I'm watching. We got solar flares
right now.
Yeah, solar flares coming to the earth. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And 2RAW4TV, man, we definitely know it's going down. It's going down right now. It's all about that revolution. And CB Knows, definitely shout out to you and appreciate you calling in, brother.
No problem.
Charlamagne, is there anybody that you would like to shout out or anything like that?
I mean, man, just peace to the planet, man. You know what I mean? Peace to the planet. And I just want to tell everybody, man, when you see me out here, it's crazy the way, and I ain't mad at it because, it's the game. But when you see like a lot of these blogs, a lot of times, they say, oh, Charlamagne is this and such. I don't do nothing for no reason. Like, I don't do things for shock value. I don't do things to get attention. Like, whenever you hear me say something about somebody, is just me really giving my honest opinion about them. And I mean, like sometimes the verbiage may not be politically correct because, I mean, that's just the way I talk. Like, if I think something sucks, I'm going to be like, yo, I think that sucks, and I'm going to give the reasons why I think it sucks, And, when you see me out there doing that, man, don't think that I'm being negative, because I truly believe in building and destroying, and destroy is to tear down everything that's negative within your life, with a build is to add onto your life positively, step by step. And I feel like the only way things are going to get better is if we constantly build and destroy. And sometimes you got it, not sometimes, all the time, you got to tell the truth. There is no wrong way to tell the truth, and there is no right way to tell the truth, and there is no middle ground to telling the truth. You're either telling the truth or you're not telling the truth. So just give your honest opinion, man. And let the chips fall where they may. That's what I really want people to get from me in the long run. I want people just to don't be afraid to just express yourself. Don't be afraid to say what's on your mind, good, bad, or indifferent. We're all grown. We can have conversations. Like, I can look, like, for example, Yellow Wolf. Like, they just had me up for saying this and Yellow Wolf. Just because I said I think his music sucks. I can sit down with Yellow Wolf and be like, yo, Yellow Wolf, I don't like your music. I don't like your flow. I don't like your lyrics. I'm just not into it, Me and him can have a conversation. We can agree to disagree about that. It ain't no malice. It ain't no, I think he's a messed up individual. I'm not saying you, the person, is whack. I'm just saying I don't dig your music. Like, that's like, just like somebody, he might say to me, well, I don't like your radio show. I don't like the way you do radio. Cool. That's okay. Like, we can agree to disagree. Everybody can have their opinions. Like, it's okay, man. Like, my boss, Cadillac Jack, salute to him, man. I call him the Zen master because he's just like a very, very cerebral dude, and he always says that life is broken up into the rule of thirds, and it's like when it comes to the thirds, it's like a third of the people are going to like it, a third of the people are not going to like it, and a third of the people are just going to be on the fence about it. And that's life.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's just life. That's just the way that it is. Like, everybody's not going to be into the same things. Everybody's not going to like the same thing. So it's okay.
Exactly.
My pops used to always say, my father used to always say, you're not as good as they say you are. You're not as bad as they say you are. As long as you keep that in mind, you'll be all right on this planet.
Exactly. And I appreciate you calling up, you know what I'm saying, and showing love. Definitely, especially in this shout out to all my people in South Carolina, man. Definitely been an inspiration to
South Carolina, man. Salute to my crew, Stupid Dope Moves, my company, my man DJ4P.com. You can go check our website out, StupidDopeMoves.com, Power1051FM.com, and follow me on Twitter at @CThagod, CTHAGOD, and salute to Angela Yee and DJ Envy, the Breakfast Club, and we just going to keep working. That's all. We just going to keep working, baby. PTS, pray, train, and study. We just going to keep going.
Definitely, definitely. And I appreciate you calling in, man. This has been 2RAW4TV. And in the words of Charlamagne Tha God, you know, tell the truth all the time. That's what we about here. So definitely shout out to you, man. And just keep it raw. This is 2RAW4TV.